Hello, welcome to this woodland. This is Lawton Greenwood, which is a community woodland. It's 180 acres in Sussex, just east of Lewes. And this is the woodland where I wrote most of the pieces that I perform. So I have a show called The Music of Trees, and I'm going to play a kind of half-hour version of that show for you now. If you were to dig a hole here or in any ancient woodland, you would come across mycelium, tiny strands, silk-like strands of the fungi. So the mushrooms we see above the ground are the fruit, and under the ground is the body and the brain of the fungus. And the strands attach themselves to all the trees, and they are able to send messages, electronic pulses, food. The fungi will take some sugars in exchange for passing the information on, and they call it the wood wide web. And it's a pretty amazing thing that's going on underneath us all the time. I'm going to play a piece called the Willow, which was the first piece I wrote in this set of pieces I've been working on for the last 2 years. This one I wrote in the Hebrides, off the west coast of Scotland, and I guess I've always associated the willow tree with a flowing, watery feeling, so the music kind of reflects that. It's also known as the Tree of Immortality by the Chinese, because its ability to regrow and regrow from a fallen twig that lands on the ground. As long as it gets water and sticks in the ground, it will just grow roots and become a tree. So it's a very, very strong-lived tree. There's about 300 species of willow. They grow everywhere in the world apart from Australia. And aspirin comes from salicylic acid, which is from meadowsweet and from the willow. So people in the olden times, people would brew a tea with willow bark for headaches. That was the Willow. I'm going to play a piece called the Linden Tree, and the tree I wrote this about is also just over there, just around the corner. So linden is the Old English name for lime. I just liked the name Linden, it just sounded more romantic. And there's only 2 lime trees that I found in this woodland. They have heart-shaped leaves, good acoustic qualities. The wood is used for solid-bodied guitars like bass guitars and electric guitars, and traditionally for puppet making. Some drum shells are made of lime as well. I have another guitar that I made that's got a lime veneer around the sound hole, so it's used for all kinds of things. In Germanic folklore they say that you cannot tell a lie under a linden tree, and people used to get married under the lindens. Carriages of justice would take place there, and you see lime trees and linden trees often in churchyards or in village centres. Quite an ornamental tree with beautiful flowers in the spring. It's quite a sweet song. Okay, so that was the linden tree. third most common tree in Britain is the ash tree. It has both mythical and medicinal properties. Thor and Odin were both said to have carried ash spears in Norse mythology. But due to ash dieback, the disease that's been spreading for the last few years, we may lose up to 95% of our ash trees. So it's pretty sad. It's easy to recognise even in the winter with its black leaf buds, its soft bark. They can live up to 400 years old, get pretty tall, up to 35 metres. Oh, got a local lads motorbiking through the woods. Going to compete with that. And the landscape is already changing, where they're beginning to be cut down. So just near here in Lewes, there's a road coming out of the town that used to be full of trees, and they're all gone. So I went up there to write this one, and I managed to find a few still standing. And I sat next to a beautiful big ash, but all around me were the fallen ash that had all been cut down to stop the spread of the disease. So very sad. So it's more of a sad, dark song but with hope. There's hope. The tree I sat under dropped a seed. It dropped one of the keys into my hand as I was sitting there. So I'm going to be planting that here in these woods where there aren't really any ash. that was the ash. So all around me in this woodland are hornbeam trees, and it's not a tree that everybody knows. In the High Weald of Sussex, this was quite an industrial area in the 18th century and going back longer. And hornbeam was used for charcoal and for firewood to produce iron. And it's sometimes known as ironwood because it's our hardest wood of all the native trees we have. It has a very dense, hard quality to it. So it's been used for lots of things that require that. For Roman chariots, they used to build the chariots out of hornbeam. And butchers' chopping boards, billiard cues, piano pieces, so Steinway and all the great piano manufacturers use hornbeam or maple sometimes for their action parts because it doesn't warp, it's super strong. So this one's a little bit more cheery than the ash. Trees are pretty amazing, and there are so many things going on that scientists are only just starting to discover now. There's a book called The Secret Life of Trees, which goes into great detail of the studies that have been happening. And there's the African acacia tree. They've proven that trees can taste and smell. So the acacia tree, if a giraffe is eating its leaves, it can send a chemical signal into the air that if you're a fellow tree downwind, you will smell this signal and know that the giraffes are coming. And that gives them time to produce a bitter tasting chemical that they can put into their leaves, so that the giraffes won't want to eat them. And they've also proven that some trees can tell which caterpillar is eating their leaves, and they can actually send a signal out to attract the correct predator for that caterpillar and come and deal with the pest. So there's a lot going on that we're just unaware of. And scientists have also proven that just from being in a woodland, being around trees, your heart rate slows, your blood pressure slows, you just really relax. And part of that is just being in nature, but it's also the chemicals that the trees are releasing into the air that actually have an effect on us. And forest bathing is something that's starting to catch on here, where people will go into nature as a form of therapy. And that began in Japan. They called it Shinrin-yoku in the 80s, and it was a program by the state for people that were suicidal or depressed, and they started taking them out into nature and realized it was just more effective than pharmaceuticals. And the Japanese also really celebrate the cherry tree, which is the last piece I'm going to play for you now. It's a beautiful tree, famous for its pink blossom. This one started off as a love song with words from my wife, and I decided to make an instrumental version of it as well. So this is the cherry. If you like the music, you can just Google the music of trees and you will find me, or you can go to my website, which is jeffrob.com, Jeff with a G, Rob with two B's. And my new album, The Music of Trees, is out now, available from the website, and next month in September it will be available on iTunes and Apple Music and paid streaming. It's not going to be on Spotify for a while. That'll teach me to set an alarm to know when my half an hour is up. I hope you've enjoyed that. jeffrob.com for future information. Hopefully I'll be touring next year back in Edinburgh and coming to a town near you. And if you've liked the music, feel free to purchase a CD. And thank you very much.